Hang on with me here. So hopefully we're up. Hello, tubers. Welcome to Crypto Monday, Bitcoin Monday, Misty Monday. Call it what you want. We'll try and give you some insights today. And sorry for the technical glitch. I'm kind of still a rookie at this. Jesus. I keep losing my damn. Let's see if that works. No. There we go. Okay. Well, I'm there. Where the hell did the banners go? Bear with me here. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and reboot this. Sorry. Okay, hopefully this is working. Well, again, hello, tubers. I'll try and keep my fingers off this mouse. Welcome to Crypto Monday, as I mentioned, and open for discussion. So any comments, inquiries, I'll see if I have any answers. Like anything, disclaimers. It's not financial advice. And, I don't consider myself a financial expert. However, I've had success in certain things, which I don't mind sharing. And if I'm, not sure of something, I'll tell you. But it's an interesting game. Anyways, we are here in Thailand. The weather's ideal. A little bit rainy, but typically not too much. Never lasts long in Thailand, the rain. The pools are ideal, so that's good. Typically swimming every day. When you come to Thailand, you do want to get after the vacation mode is over. Vacation mode meaning when you first arrive, you kind of, you want to experience everything. You go everywhere. Probably act like you're a kid again, and that's okay. But then you kind of want to settle into routine. And in my case, it's quite nice. I like the gym in the mornings, go out for my coffees. I'll have a tea maybe at home before coffee before I go, but I'll usually have one or two outside. And and then the pool is quite nice afterwards. So that's kind of a typical day. But anyways, we'll continue on here. If you do have any comments, feel free to throw them on in there and see who's on today. Richard Duggar, that name rings a bell. Oh, would that be Bubba? Good morning, everyone. Misty dividend was very good this month. Hope this week will be a very good week in the stock market. Yeah, for yous that are into Misty, you'll know what Bubba's talking about. The payment was $2.37 for one share, and I think the share is currently around $24, 23 and change. So that's a pretty darn good payout for 1 month. And for yous that aren't into Misty, it's probably worthwhile looking at if you're interested in a monthly check of some sort. It's volatile, the payment history. So definitely, like anything on this channel, guys, do your own research. it's not because, you say that it's listen, the reason you do your own research is so that you can sleep at night. You don't want to panic if something drops or panic sell if it jumps. It's when you do your own research, you kind of have a better feeling of what you're into. For my case, I've researched heavily Bitcoin, obviously, MicroStrategy, Tesla, and I sleep well at nights regardless of what those prices do. If they drop dramatically, it actually, I look at it as a positive for a great buying opportunity. If it jumps dramatically, I says, okay, well, guess my research maybe was right, so I don't sell. But yeah, Bubba's got a good morning to you, Bubba, and thanks for that comment, by the way. Bubba's back in the U.S., by the way, enjoying his kids, and I think his plans are to come back to Thailand at some point. Lecture Drums, it's Crypto Monday. Forecast is Misty. By the way, just dabbled into 45 shares of the Defiance MSTY. Not sure what that is, Blakester. Maybe explain that. Let's hope for a double whammy of dividends. Scotty S. Yes, Scotty, I think Wahin. Good morning, Brooke, and everyone else. Good morning, Scotty. Over in Wahin. David Pipe. Good morning, everyone. I'm a new subscriber. Thank you, David. Retiring, living in Junkin. I'm primarily a day trader. Well, interesting. That's probably fun, but invest in crypto also. Currently holding 1,500 Misty shares. Excellent. I think that's a great avenue, David, as you're well aware, to generate that extra monthly income. I know there's people here strictly living off their Misty dividends. And believe it or not, guys, a lot of them have less than David, and they're living quite nicely off their dividends. Now, they kind of, when it was $1.33, and if you had 1,000 shares, you're 1,300, you can still live nice on that. So, but now with the 237, it's a great investment. You probably know the story, but I was given incorrect information by my bank. God, you hate those banks, don't you? Told that there was a 30% withholding tax on these dividends. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, that's no good. Well, it turns out it's not. It's 15%. I spoke to a flunky on the phone call that, he just runs. But this week I spoke to one of the back office guys who knows his stuff, and he assured me 100% it's only 15%. So I'm going to be putting Misty into my tax-free savings account. I'm a Canadian, and I will, they'll deduct that 15% before I even see the dividend go in. But what I receive, I can pull out tax-free. And that was the intention when I originally got in. Thought, you know what, I better just call just to make sure it is 15. And anyways, to make a long story short, after I was told it was 30, I panic sold. And, because it just wasn't going to be advantageous at 30%. So, but anyways, to make a long story short, I'll be back in before the next dividend payment. I'm probably going to wait 4 or 5 days before the X date. And I'll be switching MicroStrategy into that. So it's kind of like, out of one into the other, it's kind of a similar play, so to speak. But at least this way I'll do, get a monthly check. And it'll be bigger than the covered call premium I was getting on the MicroStrategy. So anyways, let's see. I'll keep you updated on that. But well done, David. And for you that, again, haven't got Misty or looking at it, again, do your research. I'm not sure when the next dividend is going to be. It's going to be in June, probably early in June. They are listed on the website. But what I saw, guys, too, and I'll just give you a heads up on this. A lot of you guys into this know this because you've done your research, that in August, there'll be 2 payments, not just one. So August is going to be a good month. You can probably live off the one and take the other one and maybe reinvest it. So that's a bonus. As well as this, their year end is a fiscal year end is October. the end of October. This is YieldMax ETFs who manages this Misty, and they're required by law to pay out 90% of the income generated during the prior year, to the shareholders. So required by law. So that's good. When I looked back, last August and November were the $4 payments on the Misty stock. And I suspect a lot of that was this surplus of the 90, that they hadn't paid out, meaning the 90%, up to the 90%. And that's why those dividends were quite high. What's my point? I believe this October and possibly November as well, we might see a similar higher than normal payout. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Originally, I thought that's why October was high, but why was November high? Because that's the start of the new year, But then it's probably they simply have to declare the payment before year end, which would means November's payment. So maybe they split it over the 2 months is a possibility. So anyways, that's on Misty. David Pipe again. I've started writing weekly covered calls against the position to generate an additional 200 to 300 per week. Oh, Davey's getting a little sneaky. Sounds like he's writing covered calls on Misty, which you can do, guys. I actually did that first time, so I had to cancel that position out. But yeah, look at that. That's a possibility. That, David, might be a little more advanced than most of the subscribers here would want to look at, but it's something to research if you're interested in that, guys. And I don't know about the weekly ones, David. When I looked at it, the better ones were out a few months. So, but hey, each to his own. You've obviously done your research. Stephen Dice, good morning, Brooke. I was happy with the Misty dividend. Well, who wasn't happy there, Stevie? In the coming months, I'm going to diversify with the Qs and the Spider, SPY, ETFs that use option strategies. Okay, so they're probably generating, additional income, let's say, through those option strategies. What they're doing is buying the shares and selling likely covered calls against it. So, yeah, there's lots of dividend payers out there. I know a lot of the people love the YieldMax because the payments are quite high, although they're quite volatile. Most of the other dividend payers, guys, are more steady. They're a lot lower, but they're a little more, let's say, regular as far as the amount of the payment is quite regular. In most cases, not all, but I know JEPI is one. I think that's based on the S&P, if I'm not correct. SCHN is one, or SCHD possibly. Yeah, there's lots of dividend. And if you Google search, actually use Grok search. Nobody uses Google search anymore. GROK, Grok search will give you a good variety of these monthly payers, I'm sure, when you Google it. And getting a monthly check when you're retired is quite nice, whether it's through pension, through government, from your work, whatever. These dividend payers, and some of them are monthly, guys, provide an additional source of income for you, which is great. In all our cases, for at least most of us, we have to be somewhat concerned about the tax consequences. So you do want to look into that. Jeff Trio, evening, Brooke. Hey, everyone. Evening, Jeffy. Roger Walker, good morning, Brooke and everyone. Thank you, Bubba, for the Misty tip. Yes. LV abroad, China trade deal may be in the works. Yeah, I just heard that this morning on the news, guys. And so that's good news. They're talking. It sounds positive. So if they do come to a positive trade deal, they'll claim it's, the other guy blinked and it's the best for us. And hopefully it is good for everybody. But it'll definitely calm the markets tremendously. And I think you'll see a big impetus, in stocks going forward. So yeah, that it's going to be a positive once that happens. So along with any trade deals, I know when they announced the one with England, it was kind of a humorous phone call, you might say, with Trump and Starmer over there, but it did affect the markets in a positive way. So let's hope this happens. Tanya Brooke, self-care and support for caregivers. Good morning. I'm looking forward to crypto information. Well, Tanya, if there's anything in specific you're looking for, fire a comment in and we'll see if we can answer. W Secrets to Success. Hey, Brooke, Misty, 237 payout. Wasn't bad this past week. Sure wasn't. Like, that's over $1 more than the month prior. So even a guy with 1,000 shares, oh, he picked up another $1,000 US, you know, for the month. So that's pretty nice. And if you're sitting on, I mean, there's guys here on thousands of shares, so they got to be smiling ear to ear. And it's, yeah, anyways, definitely good payout. What's my guesstimate going forward? I think the low could be in. I think the low of 133 last month is, you know, maybe the low for the year. So going forward, I can see this type of payment or even more in that area, you know, whether it's $1.90 or $2.75. And again, a lot of it will depend. I think it's obviously based on MicroStrategy's share price to some extent, volatility to a great extent, premiums to a great extent, and how they're playing it. But they're sharp boys. These guys been in it for years that run these, you know, synthetic option strategies for yield max. And, you know, Misty's obviously great guys doing it. So, yeah, I do see it continuing. Let's see. W Secrets to Success. I just need about 1,000 more shares, then I'm good. Okay. Well, again, a lot of it depends on your, you know, budget, your lifestyle in that. And, you know, there's people here living on less, you know, 1,000 shares or less of Misty and living quite well. You know, I mean, I always say 2,500 US a month and I'm able to save money. So that's about 1,000 shares. So, you know, and there's people that live on half that amount per month here and don't suffer. So, you know, maybe a little, I have a 2-bedroom, they probably have a studio, you know, things like that. Accommodation is one of your biggest expenses, but yep. Don Delonic, Mr. XRP man. Good morning, everyone. Glorious day at Dusick Grand Park 2. Rain right now, cleaning the air for the 10 a.m. pool time. Donnie's like a regular. As I spoke earlier, guys, it's good to have a routine here, and Donnie definitely has his. Loves his massages. Pool, he's in there constantly and has made a lot of good friends here. And actually, with Cooper had him on for a interview way back on the videos, and Donnie's big into the XRP. So good on you, Donnie. Thanks for showing up here. Johnny Poulos. Now that name rings a bell. I wonder if that's my buddy over in Australia. Good day, Brooke, and everyone watching. Hopefully we have a positive market going forward. I think we will. And the only negative is John's not here. I think he's hoping to get here shortly, and I hope so. So, yeah, come on over. Johnny's part, for the guys that aren't aware of what we have here, we have some stooges, and he's one of the 3 stooges. Me, of course, being one of them. So, anyways, good to hear from you, Johnny. Malcolm Hawkins. Whoa, there's a blast from the past. Good day, Brooke. Home Wednesday. Malcolm's over in Australia, Bruny Island, I believe, down south of Tassie. And he's, you know, coming back here, obviously Wednesday. So day after tomorrow. Good. Look forward to seeing you. Him and his lovely wife, Katea. Katea from Pattaya. No, Jomtien, she says. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you. We'll have to get together. Blakester Drums, MST, leveraged exposure. MST aims to deliver approximately 150 to 200% of MicroStrategy's daily price performance. Okay, capitalizing on its volatility and growth potential. Okay. It's not a dividend payer then, Blakester. It's looks like a 2x, 1.5 to 2x play on MicroStrategy's daily change in price, if any. Those are pretty risky, Blakester, as you're probably aware. You've done your research, that they have a decaying factor in their price. You'd never want to hold those too long, apparently. I don't play them. I don't quite, it's not my cup of tea. But if you're guessing the right, if the stock's volatile and you're guessing the right direction, those things can really lever up your gains, let's say, because they've got double the exposure. And I believe they track pretty close to what actually happens on the market. So, but the thing, you don't want to hold those too long, Blakester. They have a decay factor. I think they reset. Some of them reset daily. So, but I'm sure you've already looked into that. What's Duke doing these days? Coop will be back here, I believe, Wednesday, guys, but later in the day. So I think you'll see him the next live stream Saturday. Bitcoin is 104K. Yeah, I just checked before. Come on, Duke, and yes, it is. So now back to Bitcoin. It's actually still on sale, guys, because I think there's a huge run coming. I think there's an all-time high coming this month. Who knows? 120, 150, who knows? But why I say that, the adoption every week is constantly growing. New Hampshire became the first state to, get a Bitcoin reserve signed into law. There was 4 bills, I believe, in Arizona. The governor vetoed one of them, but signed another. So there's a second state that's, going to be setting something up in that regard. So, but the point is, there's more and more adoption coming. And with more and more adoption, you're going to get more demand. And with that limited supply, as we all know, price goes up and to the right. Also, Saylor just announced he bought more Bitcoin over the weekend, I believe. So it'll be announced sometime today. Maybe it's already just come out. Who knows? But I think it's still your best investment going forward for, protecting yourself. One of the comments just the other day, and hopefully we're all in stable countries back home. And, I'm from Canada, the States, but you can take a lot of your wealth on little, memory stick. And if you had to get out of a country quick, for example, Ukraine, Russia, anything in those certain type of zones, that's where the ease of Bitcoin to take your wealth with you. So, but yeah, I'm sure you all know that. Yeah. Oh, Donnie again says Bitcoin blew right through the 100K barrier, which shocked me. Next resistance is 106K, then blue skies above. BlackRock, Saylor, and the others have that in sight. Yeah. Donnie's pretty good at watching the what's called resistance levels. And anytime you have a round number like 100 or 50, those people tend to focus on those, just out of human nature. And when they break through that, and Don's case is right, the 100K, whoa, that's a bit of a psychological barrier. Like some people say, hey, I'm selling at 100. I don't care. I can't take it. But, and that's all done now because it's up at 104. And then the next resistance is 106. So it'll tend to hit the 106 and maybe back a bit and hit it again and back a bit and hit it again and back a bit. And then, wow, it, goes to 110 maybe. The all-time high was just under 109. So we're not that far away from breaking that. And yeah. And the thing with an all-time high, people, is that anyone who bought Bitcoin at any time in their life, regardless of the price, when it hits a new all-time high, everyone, whoever bought, is in the money if they've got their Bitcoin. So interesting point, but yeah, that's just common sense, isn't it, Brooke? What's Duke doing these days, Coop? I've recovered back 30% of my Misty, even with the withholding taxes got in mid-January. Wowzer. Okay. Hopefully you're not at a 30% withholding tax, Duke. If you are, there's a form you can fill out with your platform that should reduce that to, the treaty factor. Typically they're 15, although some are 10, I've heard. But 30 is a little rich to pay on a withholding. Maybe not in Misty's case, but and there's a lot of people out there that, maybe they bought Misty in the high 20s. Maybe some bought in the low 30s. Believe it or not, I think Bubba was in the 30s, but hey, he's been hanging on for 14 months probably. So he's got all his money back and then some. Playing with house money. Isn't that kind of a nice situation? But yeah, so good on you, Duke. You're back in the black. Hunter Orion, there he is. Good evening, Brooke and the CTA Investing Gang. Great week for Bitcoin, yes, and the U.S. market in general. Maybe time to purchase my next ticket to the Land of Smiles to celebrate. Yeah, well, I'd come here to retire. It's always good to visit, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think, man, when you're retired here, life's pretty nice. The weather's the same, which I love. I don't get the snow anymore. I don't get the cold, and it's you get used to the nice warmth. I actually like the warmth now. Mind you, I don't stay in the sun much. You're going to get sun regardless. So you're riding the scooter, or you get But I always stay in the shade. Even in the pools, you'll stay in the shade. You'll find when you're here. The worst time is when you're sitting at a traffic light in the middle of the road and the light's red, and then you start, oh geez, it's getting warm, but that never lasts too long. Blakester, hey XRP Don, we had a nice couple of days, haven't we? CRP climbing again. Maybe it's XRP's climbing again. Yeah, I think XRP, well, I don't know what it's trading at. I don't follow it that much, but 220 maybe, was it up to? I know a couple of the guys here. I know Donnie knows them, that one of them, he took his money out of XRP that he had put in. He got way back year or two ago when it was kind of flatlining for a long time. So he got his money out. And now he's playing with their money. So in other words, the XRP he holds is house money. So hey, if it runs to the moon, God bless him. He's happy. And guess what he did with the money he took out? Misty. Breaks their drums. Yeah, we got that. Donnie Montana. Good morning, Brooke and Jack. The gang watching. Yeah, it's a little early for Jax. He's sawing logs. What's Duke doing these days? Isn't XRP now shunned by Trump after he found out how he was being used to shill it? I believe you are absolutely correct, Duke. Okay, so the rumor had it that with the crypto, they called it, reserve fund, that was going to be, I think, separate from Bitcoin reserve fund, that they would have a basket, call it, of coins, different coins. And XRP was definitely mentioned, probably along with Solana, Bitcoin, maybe in that one as well. But there, the report was, whether it's true or not, that they're not putting any XRP in there. And I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be strictly Bitcoin. So yeah, it's the only altcoin that I have interest in is Solana, but that's just me. The people I follow, and I'll give you that again, guys. Invest Answers, James is great resource. For Tesla, I like Brighter with Herbert. They all have at least one video per day.
Sorry.
Well, look who's on there. Look at that smiling Jack there. Look at that.
Hey, Mr. Schneider, how you doing?
I can't hear you there. Maybe you got to speak up louder. Well, look at you. Aren't you just a technical wizard? How's your audio?
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you there. I think he's in the car traveling, that rascal.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear you.
That's because
maybe
you
the guy,
got your volume turned up.
Let us know if you can hear him. I can't hear him.
He hasn't got his volume turned up, honey.
I don't read lips, Coop. Sorry. Get Darlena to write up a sign. You can hold the sign up, maybe.
can hear. Okay,
I
everybody's
don't know
saying
why
they can
that.
hear me
Oh, maybe if you were on
because
my
Brooke
phone.
has.
Maybe if
No,
you're on
Brooke,
my phone, call me on
message
the
Jackie.
phone too. But
Tell him to turn his volume up
I
on the
know.
laptop.
all right.
Wait. Do you call this? I will
There's
get a paycheck.
Phil T says, "Good morning, Brooke and all. Looking at Tesla at the current price, what are your thoughts? Is it a buy or wait and see? Misty is June 6th, next dividend date. Okay, well, that's good. Thanks for that tip on Misty date, June 6th, guys. So next dividend date. So probably the X date will be a few days, maybe the 3rd you want to get in, or 2nd even prior to that. Yeah, probably the end of May is when I'll be doing a flip into that. So now, your first comment, looking at Tesla and the current price, what are your thoughts? I think it's a great buying opportunity right now on Tesla. Why I say that, it's got momentum. I think the lows are in on Tesla, guys, back last month. And oh, guess who's calling? Hey, I can hear you now.
No, bro.
Yes.
Turn up the volume on your laptop.
What? Oh,
Sorry
volume?
for the feedback, folks.
My output volume?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Bear with me, guys. I got to turn up my output volume. Clear settings. So I have to get out of here then, do I?
No.
Okay, I got it. Holy shit. There, that's better.
Well, Brooke's figuring out. I'll talk to you guys. So I had a phone call conversation with Brooke yesterday, and we're talking about Misty, and he says, you know what, Coop, you finally talked me into it. I need to buy some Misty shares. So that's his plan today. He's going to finally buy some Misty. He's going to drop a bit of his MicroStrategy and buy some Misty. So I said, he's way too heavy in your MicroStrategy, buddy. Lower your MicroStrategy a bit. You got way too many shares, and get into Misty and collect that monthly dividend. So that's his plan moving forward from today. And Misty, for those folks that didn't know, actually their earning was over $4 per share, and they held about 50% of it back and gave a $2.37 dividend, and from one of their call options that they did. So their plan moving forward for the next month is to use that extra for the volatility and pay a further $2 dividend next month, is my thoughts. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below why they did it. And Darlene's just ringing Brooke on the cell phone to explain to him what he did wrong.
Wait, I was gonna...
Can you hear me,
Yeah,
Brooke?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So let us know your comments down below what you think the price prediction is going to be for next month's Misty shares. I'm saying it's going to be over $2 again. What's your thoughts, Brooke?
Yep. Yeah. That's, if things continue and they keep going up, I don't see why it wouldn't be. I tend to sandbag things, so even if it's $1.75, we'll all be happy campers, but we'll be happier if it's $2.75.
Oh yeah, of course.
Anyways, Phil had asked about Tesla, and I do think Tesla's a good buy right now. What's happening with Tesla, guys, is June, they're going to be rolling out self-driving taxis. And this is driverless, guys, so there's no driver in it. Self-driving taxis in Austin, Texas. And sure, the reports are, oh, they're only going to have 20 cars. That's nothing. Well, you know, you walk before you run, you crawl before you walk. If that, the first couple weeks or month goes well, they'll plaster, 1,000 cars or 10,000 into that place. And then you really see it go. So, and like any new technology, if it makes people's lives better, is cost less, they'll be jumping on the bandwagon. So I can see that being a big winner. And that's only part of the Tesla story, guys. They've got battery packs they're selling. They've got income from charging stations. They've got obviously car sales, but to me, that's a minor part of it. They're getting big into these transport trucks now. Coop, you're probably aware of that. And they'll be rolling them out. I think there's several on the road now. Pepsi's got them on, and I'm not even sure maybe Walmart has some. But so yeah, that's interesting. And not to mention, the biggest payday will probably come from the humanoid robots. So it's got a lot going for it. And I think 26 and 27 are the 2 years when this will all converge together. And you'll see the share price, in my opinion, rocket. I'm talking not in the hundreds, probably the thousands. So that's why, and again, like anything, guys, I recommend a buy and hold strategy. So if you're buying Tesla, don't trade it. Just buy it, sit on it, and forget about it. Same with your Bitcoin.
Now, here's my thoughts on Tesla. Here's my thoughts on it, Brooke. I see Tesla taking over and killing Uber and also Waymo. And the reason I see that happening is I get a lot of feedback from my friends and family and subscribers in the States, and they're seeing these Teslas with FSD picking the kids up at school with no driver. And their kids are in the back of the car, and they're trusting their car to pick up the kids and bring them home.
Yep, from the private schools.
From the private schools, yeah, I will say that, but that's amazing. That is literally amazing, you know. And you think when this big rollout happens next month, Elon Musk is going to have 1,000 robo taxis, cyber cabs, whatever you call them, come out, and he likes to sandbag things. So when he says there's 1,000 coming out, you can pretty much guess that number is going to be closer to 2,000 on launch day. And every taxi company out there is going to want to buy one.
Yeah.
Every taxi company is going to want to have a fleet of them. You think their overheads, they don't have to pay drivers anymore.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree with you. There'll be a killer for definitely Waymo. You know, that's the old technology, so to speak. Cost factor alone will prohibit that. Well, I don't know about that, and I'll tell you why. If Tesla, they might partner with Uber just because of Uber's network. Uber's got like 170 million customers. I don't know if that's daily, but they've got definitely that many people that have signed up for the service. So when you've got that much, and you know, they've got a platform to collect the money and pay it. So, you know, those, or if they don't do that, Tesla will generate their own, you know, hail network, let's say. And then definitely Uber would be toast. But I think it'd be in Uber's best interest, and initially to start probably in Tesla's to do some sort of partnership. And it ain't going to be
Uber
real.
Buy a bunch of them from start.
Yeah, I don't know how many Tesla's going to want to sell. When they can make all the money, why not cut out the middlemen? You know what I mean? Just run them themselves. But it does take capital. That could be it. You might be right. Time will tell. Anyways, we're coming up to June, guys, so that's not that far away. Another 4 to 5 weeks, we could see these things rolling out in Austin. If it's the 1st of June, it's only, 3 weeks away. So that would be interesting. So interesting times ahead with Tesla. Anyways, Phil's point, I would definitely think Tesla's a buy. I'm personally buying a little more Tesla every chance I get. With that Misty dividends coming out of my TFSA account, tax-free, I'll definitely be buying some Tesla with it. Captain Action, Henry from Tampa. Hello, Brooke. Great to see you. I already hit the like button. Oh, yeah. Thanks for saying that. If you hit the like button, it does make Darlene smile in that car she's driving home. And yeah, so that helps us out, helps the channel, guys. And yeah, I don't see the coffee thing up here, Coop. I don't know why that never shows up. To buy me a coffee. Steve Dice says typo, triple Q's. Yeah, thought of that, Stevie. here. We got that. Okay. Next one. LV 5150. Greetings, Brooke and the family. Greetings to you. If you had 2 Bitcoin on a ledger, would now be the right time to move one of them to an exchange like Coinbase, in your opinion? You, I wouldn't do that. Why? Why Coinbase?
If you're hodling, no. Keep it
Yeah.
in your ledger. Only move it to Coinbase if you're looking to sell.
Yeah, but why would you sell? There's no second best, guys. So, the only thing, I mean, obviously Ledger, that's a big one. You might look at taking one coin, putting it on a different cold wallet, so you're diversified, so to speak, But now, just speaking of this, Coinbase, when you mentioned, I heard rumors that Binance, and they're also a huge platform worldwide, they had a lot of Bitcoin withdrawals, and I mean massive withdrawals. So that's something, if you're with Binance, guys, take a look, do your research on that, and just see what that's all about. I mean, if they're switching them into, stable coins, that's one thing. But if people are exiting the platform, in other words, geez, I'm getting a little nervous here. And who that'll be? It'll be the insiders first do it. You might want to look at that and just see. Now, that's not fear mongering. It's just, again, I didn't see any hard facts. It was a story I read, and they had apparently done some research of the wallets they believe are held by Binance, and noticed that there was big drops in the amount of coins held in the wallets. So, anyways, a little tidbit for you. Don Delonic, Mr. XRP, my expert traders at the Mango Way said short-term Bitcoin 163, then 363. Wowzer. What will MicroStrategy and Misty look like then? We all will retire from our retirement investments. Retire again, retired man in Dusit Grand Park 2. Wouldn't that be nice, guys? Hey, Coop?
Well, yes, very nice. If Bitcoin is at 163, that would put MicroStrategy somewhere around the $700 a share price, 700 to 800 range.
Yeah, well, that's a nice price point if that's the case.
And then I would see Misty back above 40.
Wow, wouldn't that be a bonus?
Yeah.
I know that MicroStrategy apparently, and James this morning said this, Coop, that his research, MicroStrategy tracks Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin, about a little under 3 to 1. So if there's a 20% increase, it's probably 60% increase in MicroStrategy, so to speak, in ballpark figures. So interesting. Yeah, it's not 1 for 1. Like 10% doesn't equal 10% of the other. It's levered. So yeah, so that's good. But Misty, I'm not so sure. I haven't got the data on how it tracks MicroStrategy. I do believe it will go up, but percentage wise, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens on that case. But that would be great, man. Oh man, if it gets if this Misty share price goes up, you're going to get a lot of interest, because guys that are currently in it, what if they double their money just on the share and they're still getting these monthly checks? They're going to be jumping up and down for joy. Probably, you know what? I think they'll be buying you and me a beer.
Yes.
LV Abroad.
Several.
LV Abroad says MST supposed to have 2 times leverage when Bitcoin goes up, and it pays weekly. Whoa, there. So it's a weekly payer. My Buddha. That'd be might have to take a look and just see what that's all about. Albie's obviously done his research. Richard Woolley, anyone think MST would be worth buying, or best stick with Misty? Okay, well, there you go. Now we're just back-to-back questions on that. Richard, I haven't done any research on MST. I'll have to take a look at that. So it's a leverage play on MicroStrategy's volatility. So kind of interesting, man. You don't know how far these leverage plays can go, but you got Bitcoin, which is the base, and it's volatile. Well, then MicroStrategy's, based off of Bitcoin, and it's levered, and then you got these plays now with these Misty and MST that are even levered on the levered. So interesting. You know anything about that MST, Coop?
Very little, other than it's new. It's just started, and the Retire on Dividends YouTube channel that I follow, he is just starting to develop a spreadsheet for it, and we'll see in the next month how it compares to Misty.
The one interesting thing just mentioned was if it's paying weekly, there's people that might even just like that, believe it or not. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, maybe by the next Monday we'll have a little more research. I'll definitely look into it a little more. David Pipe, a new subscriber, Coop. Oh, he's already joined. There's his little
channel member too. Thank you very much, David.
Yeah, thank you, David. At LV5150, be very careful with Coinbase. I've had very bad experience. They tend to freeze your assets for no reason. I recommend Kraken. They are much better exchange. So, I mean, Jesus, I heard somebody say, when Bitcoin's starting to run and you want to buy or whatever, it freezes, so you don't want a platform that happens.
5 times last year, Brooke. 5 times.
5 times. So there you go. So, yeah, maybe that's the good tip on that, David. Thank you for that. There is obviously lots of platforms to choose from. I mentioned Binance, but that one definitely I would stay away. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So if there's a rumor out, I'd watch that. Coinbase, I do believe, because all the big boys do their self-custody with Coinbase, so it's probably okay. It's just how it performs, as Coop mentioned. It's sometimes useless when you definitely want to do a buy or sell and it freezes on you. You're stuck, Anyways, LB Abroad, Misty made for a share, paid $237. Going to have extra for next month. Yeah, the extra is in August, LB. Okay.
Well, there's 2 payments in August, Brooke, and all the extras they hold back every month, they pay in November. So all that extras that they've held back, they have to give it to you in bulk in November. So that's why last year, October, November, it was over $4 a share.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did notice that. Kim Leslie Nielsen, good morning, everyone. Let's get a thumbs up for CBD. They would like it.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Hit that thumbs up.
We're currently on Koh Samui Island, and we're getting ready to go on a boat trip. We rented a boat to go to a couple islands, and then we're heading back to Jomtien tomorrow. Just an update.
Okay.
There will be no live stream on Wednesday, though, because we won't be back in time. I'm perceiving we're going to be back about 3-4 o'clock Wednesday morning, and I'm going to need to sleep. So no live stream Wednesday, but we will be ready to rock and roll on Saturday.
Straight from the big man himself, folks. Okay, Coop, was good to see you. Jeff Sigler, hello, Brooke and everyone. Hope everyone is doing good. Was pleasantly surprised by the Misty payout on Friday. Now, some of the guys, I guess they get it Monday. Some of the Aussies, that stake platform, they say is maybe Monday, but yeah.
I received mine Saturday morning.
Good.
Yeah.
And I think where Bubba is, he got his Friday night, maybe, but
yeah,
which I guess is Saturday morning here. Yeah, so there you go. Jeff Sigler, hello, Brooke and everyone. Hope everyone is doing good. Was pleasantly surprised by the Misty payout Friday. Yes, we all were. Philip Hunt, good morning, everyone. 1 month in Thailand in retirement. So good to be here relaxing. Thank you for being
well done,
Philip.
And yes, thank you very much.
So 1 month already, and you guys will love it here. You already do, I'm sure. There's Bubba. Welcome back to Thailand, Malcolm. Yeah, Malcolm's coming, Coop, on Wednesday. Him and Katea.
Oh, okay.
Flexer Drums from Defiance seeks weekly income. By utilizing a credit call spread strategy, the ETF seeks to generate high income which is distributed to investors every week, providing regular cash flow. I would suppose that would be somewhat volatile. Oh, there's a nice view. So
All right, I'll wait
you're all
for
done
the
driving
kids
now?
Yeah, we're just back at the hotel. We're waiting for a service vehicle to take us to the boat. So we're going
Okay.
on a boat island tour shortly.
Nice. Well, you enjoy that.
Yeah, I will.
Johnny Poulos, Southside Johnny from Aussieland. What's going to happen if the Democrats keep voting down the crypto bill? Wouldn't it be better for the U.S. to lead the charge in the financial system? Yeah, it would, but I don't think they'll be able to vote everything down there, hopefully, because apparently the Republicans do control the Senate, but
well, they
hopefully
only postponed it till today. That was Elizabeth Warren, so it's been just postponed till today from Friday last week.
That's good news then.
Yeah,
there's people that are just disruptive to anything that the other party, let's say, wants to accomplish. So they'd vote a different color if that made them look better. Richard Woolley, Blackster, I'm not sure about that MST. Okay, so again, there's more research needed. There's Alfa Romeo. Good morning, Brooke. Hello, everyone watching. How are those Leafs doing, Romeo?
Hello, Romeo.
Coop, what's Duke doing these days?
I have no idea. He never tells us.
Well, withholding taxes are only 15% in the TFSA. I meant that of my initial investment. I've gotten back 30% already from distributions and the day trading. Yeah, so Duke's quite busy. He likes the day trading, and but so yeah, the 15% now. It's funny, as I mentioned, Duke, I was told 30 on the original call. Did a panic sell after that because I didn't want the damn thing in at 30%. But then I actually spoke to the brains in the back room. No, 15%. And what he told me was interesting. Any Canadian that people, I was told, oh, you need to file this form, but the guy in the back room, and he's smart. He said, look, if you are a Canadian, you've uploaded your either driver's license and or passport proving, that they're automatically put at 15% in the system, so that requirement to file that form was not the case. So there he is. But yeah, taxes are always a key component, guys, and 15% in my case is livable. 30% will be a little too rich. Stu Lovell, the DTCC clears 3.7 quadrillion per year. They will be using our three-quarter blockchain. The currency is XDC. Just a heads up for anyone who wants to check out XDC. It'll be huge. So Stewie's done some research on a altcoin, I would call it, and apparently there's a use for it, but it's a little too unknown and specific for my interest, Dewey. But he goes on to say it's trading at 7 cents. Okay, XRP's currently 240. Coop, there you go.
It's moving back up.
Yeah, Jim Collis says I can hear now. Hopefully that's what he meant. We can hear Coop. Good. Okay. Baba, Misty now 24.28 just went up. So this must be pre-market trading on Misty. Yeah, the exchanges won't open for another 12 hours, so or 11 maybe.
Yeah, but the pre-market's open about now. Yeah,
pre-market they do have. The issue with pre-market, guys, be careful. You sometimes don't have as much liquidity, so you definitely don't want to put a market order in. You want to do a limit order if you're playing that pre-market. I'm sure that's what you know. Hunter Ryan, we can hear. Okay, good. We can hear. Cooper says kept in action. Coop is loud and clear. LV. Jeff Trio, retire on dividend, said we could have a $3 payout for June. Wouldn't that be nice?
Very
$3
nice.
payout. Yeah, for Misty in June. And I think that was June 6th was mentioned earlier in the comments, Coop. So
Yeah, June 6th, next payout.
yeah. The reason I'm not jumping today on that switch over from MicroStrategy to Misty is that I think MicroStrategy is going to take a bit of a run here. As long as it keeps pace with Misty, you know, it's the same number of shares, but it might even outdo it a bit. We'll see.
Well,
Philip Hunt.
Bitcoin hit 105 this weekend, Brooke. And
Yeah.
I said when Bitcoin hits 105, MicroStrategy would be at 444 with the NAV premium that it currently has. That would be the predicted share price.
Yeah. Well, if it's 440, then yeah, I might flip some right away. That's a pretty good jump. Now, Coop mentioned this NAV premium, guys, and James Invest Answers does a nice schedule. He looks at all the NAV premiums on these Bitcoin stocks, right?
I don't know yet.
And with MicroStrategy, it's like around 2 now, which is good. You know, they, in other words, they get, you know, $2 to buy $1 worth of Bitcoin, you might say, you know, but they'll double up their shares. One of the better NAV premiums was in a stock called Mara. It was 1.1. In other words, if you paid $1.10 for a share, you're getting $1 of Bitcoin from the company. You know, equate of value. So I thought, Jesus, you know, that was an interesting concept. The miners haven't done shit, so I don't really recommend the miners, to be honest. Philip Hunt says he can hear you. So does Jeff. We can hear Coop. And Dandy Don from Cucamonga, Mr. XRP at Blakester Drums. XRP will outperform Bitcoin and MicroStrategy and Misty. That is Don's opinion. That's why I only have silver balls and Misty 25,000. Heavy in XRP, but Misty gives my monthly welfare check. Yeah, he's got his monthly check coming in and obviously able to live off that. Donnie's a diehard XRP, so he's obviously done a whack of research on that. And he's made a bunch of, will outperform Bitcoin and MicroStrategy and Misty. So that's interesting. And I mean, at $2.40, if it doubles, you know, you're probably a real happy camper, aren't you? I'd like to know what your exit strategy is on that, Donnie. Living the adventure. Got my first dividend from Misty. Awesome. There's a happy camper right there. Also, I had to re-request entry into the Facebook group since my last Facebook account got hacked. Okay, well, I mean...
Hey, Brooke, I got to bug out, bud. We're going on our tour now. Great to speak to you guys. See you when I get back to jump here.
You. Yeah. Okay, buddy.
Keep the pool clean. I'll be back soon.
Yeah, will do.
All right, take care, bud. All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. We'll get that looked after, Living. If between Coop and Darlene and myself, we tend to try and check that every day or two to update it. Jeff says, hit the like button, guys. Love that Misty. Yes. LV, I really want to buy some Misty, but I just can't figure out the best place to buy it here in the USA. To buy it here in the, well, okay, so in the USA, just get your platform. You know, Easy Trade, Ameritrade, Schwab, you know, Fidelity, any of those platforms, you can buy it. You're not doing a lot of trading, maybe, LV, so you just need, you know, one that you're familiar with or easy to use, works on it. That offers obviously Misty, but they will. And go, you know, go to town. Now, get that done before June 1st of June, let's say, and then you'll be able to buy the Misty and get the dividends. So I would say, yeah. Especially in the West, like it's harder for these guys in England and even Australia to some extent, although Australians are using stake and that's working. IBKR seems to be a planet-wide platform that works, but you know, they do have restrictions. My buddy in England, Joe, said, you know, they put through the first purchase on Misty, but then they informed him, you know, keep that, but we're not going to let you buy anymore. Like, what the? I think that's it, the government in England telling them. What's Duke doing these days? Any brokerage can be used to buy it. Yeah, as long as they offer it. Jeff Sigler, Brooke, not financial advice. I would leave it in MicroStrategy and wait to buy until the next dividend. That's kind of what I'm doing, Jeffy. Just I want to make sure I flip it before the exchange date. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. My heaviest holding is MicroStrategy, so I'm only taking 100 shares to flip it, and I'm still left with, you know, a lot of MicroStrategy, but. You know, and I was making a living off the premiums on the covered calls, but this way I like the tax-free thing. You know, it doesn't affect my pensions. It doesn't affect my taxes. I can pull this damn money out tax-free. And, you know, sure, the MicroStrategy would have done a, you know, 3, 4, 5X in a bunch of years. Meanwhile, you know, I'll make the kids rich, I suppose, where, maybe I'll take a little more money out myself and fly first class on those flights instead of business, or, you know, fly business class instead of economy. So there you go. LV, how about them self-driving Tesla semi-trucks? Those are built to hit the roads in a big way. You betcha. Tesla, that Musk is such a sharp guy. He's got all these things and they all seem to be feeding together. And I believe they're going to be best in class, let's say, you know. Semi-trucks that are self-driving, robo-taxis that are self-driving, you know, battery pack storage. So these utilities, like if he had those in Europe, they never would have had that blackout, guys. That's what I've read. So, you know, countries will be looking at that. You know, humanoid robots eventually. And all the while that we're talking about this, they're in their factories perfecting all this technology. So when it's rolled out, you're pretty well certain it's going to work and going to be huge. So they build to scale. They can copy their factories to scale quickly. It's an amazing company. So I think it definitely is cheap. You know, I've been a proponent of Bitcoin for years with you guys, and I think it was 25,000 at the time we started the channel talking about this money matter stuff. Now look at it, it's a 4x. You know, I can easily see that or more with Tesla. So I do have Tesla. I've done my research, do it every day on Tesla. I think it's, one of the things that'll, you know, three-legged stool: Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, and Tesla. Dennis says, hello, CTA. They may be using some of the profits to buy more Bitcoin. Okay. They may be using some of the profit. Yeah. So my plan with the Misty, obviously I'll have excess every month over what I need, is to pick up more Tesla, more Bitcoin. Yep. Alpha says, wishing all the mothers a very happy Mother's Day. Yes, called my daughter last night. It would have been Sunday morning, her time. Wished her a happy Mother's Day. Great chat back in Canada. I'll be abroad. I told the kids to buy a Tesla when it drives to the house and introduces itself. Teslas will do that. You can order a Tesla and it'll actually, I mean, when the robo starts and the self-driving is allowed, let's say, put it that way, it's already working. It's just the government regulations, you know. When the bureaucrats allow that, you can order online, sit and then just sit on your porch and the car will show up driving itself. Yeah, my kids, that's all they own is Teslas. They actually own that before I even started looking at Tesla. You know, well, Jesus, why would you buy one of those cars? You know, but boy, oh boy. Philip Hunt, thank you for being a channel member again. By the way, 3 cheers for Brooke, soldiering on with all the tech, doing pop-ups and goof-ups, and not a real techie. I'm okay with numbers, not good with my hands. Alpha says, hello, Coop and Darlene. Looks like you and the family are having a wonderful trip. Coop's down there with the two kids, the two kidlets, Bada 1 and Bada 2, and they're having a ball with mom and dad. So I think they're here till latter part of May. And then back to the Philippines and school, I believe, at some point. Here's Bubba. Hello, Cooper. Have fun with them kids and your mean wife. Have fun on vacation. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, Bubba's a comedian. Living the adventure. Misty at 40 would make it difficult for those starting out and having to build slowly. Yes and no. Sure it would. Yeah, you got to say yes. It's double, not double, but close to what it is today. But, it depends on your returns. I mean, Bitcoin at 100,000 living, people are saying, oh, that's too expensive. Well, where's it headed? So that's always, go look to where the puck's headed, not where it is. But yeah, you got a good point. It's especially for the people that paid the 20s. They're thinking, oh, shit, or the new guys in. Yeah. Lakester Drums. Do YouTube search on MST and watch a video. Yeah, that's typically what we'll do. And the CEO and Chief Investment Officer, CIO of Defiance ETFs, Sylvia Jablonski. The name seems to ring a bell. But Phil T, have you looked at Strife and Strike? Those are MicroStrategy, I believe, preferred dividend stocks and or possibly bonds that pay 8 or 10%. Thoughts, anyone? I would wonder there, Phil, just about the liquidity on them. I like something that's very liquid, meaning it's easy to get in and easy to get out. So if it doesn't have a lot of liquidity, Jesus, I gets a little nervous sometimes. What if, not a panic sell, but what if you had to get out quick or you wanted to get in quick and Jesus, the spreads are too big. It's, not that liquid. So, but yeah, those are instruments issued by MicroStrategy folks. They're mainly, I think, meant, Phil, for big institutions. They are the ones that buy and hold these forever, collect their dividends. If they're bonds, they hold to maturity typically. But yeah, if anyone's interested, definitely do your research on those. It's not for me. But Blakester Drums, Coinbase charges $30 a month. Kraken has no monthly fees. There's a reason to switch. Malcolm says, I have to put my sunglasses on every time you smile, Coop. Yep, Coop's got that big grin now. I got to go on Tuesday and get these looked at. Don says, Mr. XRP, I would stay away from MST. You have to let options work. 2x can also go against you, correct? 2x the loss, correct? Misty are proven winners and they have it down pat. Yeah, I agree with Donnie totally on that. There will be other copycats. There already is to copy Misty's success. So, but these guys have blazed the trail. They've got the track record. So, you'll see people, Misty, oh no, that's too complicated. Well, go back and look at the history of it. Go back for 12 months. What are the last 12 distributions? Give you a pretty good idea. These guys know what they're doing. They've consistently paid out a very, very high return. So how can they do this? How can they? Well, that's the option market. If you're good trading options, you can make a lot more than just even trading stocks, in my opinion, and definitely way more than treasuries. So you'll still meet people here that are invested in treasuries. Well, you talk about a losing situation. They're making 3-4% in a year, and maybe have no concept that the buying power of the treasury is dropping 10 to 20% in that same year. So they're actually worse off. That's Donnie's. Okay. Blakester says, XRP Don, I have 5,500 XRP parked at CoinPro, 24% interest per year. Okay, so maybe he's receiving that as his return for, Maybe it's staking he's involved in. Not selling anytime soon, just letting it get the dividends. And he's probably paid an XRP is my guess, guys. So, yep. Blakester's done some research, so he's found a way to get a nice return on his XRP. I'm sure Donnie's probably involved in that to some extent. Wonder what Stuke's doing these days. Misty's losing on its weekly calls while making the bulk of its money from its synthetic last month. Synthetic calls and puts, I'm sure. Not sure how MST is going to be different on the weekly. Okay. Time will tell. Probably not enough data points on MST yet. Data points, I mean, the longer something's been in business and the more information you have on, its price history, returns, payments, the better forecasting you can do on, on that stock. Misty's been around over a year. MST's fairly new. So forecasting, it will be stronger on Misty, maybe not as strong on MST because we don't have the history of it. Donnie says Misty's June dividend will be larger. Okay. They bought a lot of 360, 370 out of the money calls, which how much are they worth with MicroStrategy at 420 and higher plus their new ones? Yeah, that'll be capped as far as their return unless they keep rolling them up and out. But yeah, so they've made money. They guessed the right way on that. So they're smart boys. They would have bought those probably when it was 310, 300, 320 maybe. So definitely made good money on it. I don't use that tight a spread, by the way, Donnie, or the rest of you. My lowest price one is for the end of the month at 500 on micro. So, and I've got 600, 700, and 800 calls out there. The farther you go, the higher the price I go, and you get bigger premiums for that. So. Bikes or drums, in my opinion, for the average investor, Bitcoin is too expensive to expect doubling your money. 10,000 investment doubling in 5 years, but with XRP, expect the doubling to be much sooner. So what I would say, Blakester, is too expensive. Well, it's, I mean, how do you gauge something that's too expensive like Bitcoin? Obviously maybe too expensive to buy one coin for the average person. Okay, that no problem. I agree with that. But you can buy a 0.1 of a coin, 10,000 of a coin, for example, at 100,000 Bitcoin price, and you'll own that. And can Bitcoin double? It could double this year. Can it do a 5x? In other words, 500,000 easily in 2 to 3 years. Will it? Time will tell. It all depends on adoption, and the adoption's like a rolling snowball down a hill. It starts off small at the top of the hill, and then it keeps going. And you know what? It's picking up a little more snow all the time, keeping its shape. And then all of a sudden, by the time it gets towards the bottom, it's this massive ball of snow. And that's kind of what happens with adoption. It just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the hill is time. So the longer the time, the bigger the adoption, the bigger the snowball is going to get. So time will tell. I'm just buying and hold because I think when you have a limited supply, the only asset on the planet, guys, with a limited supply, they can't make any more. And, you own part of it. So, yeah. Anyways, we'll see where it ends up. LB Abroad, Misty goes up closer to payout if it's going to be a good one, especially. Yes. So that, for my case, I want to be a little careful on that. I don't want to see it skyrocket, but typically it does tend to track MicroStrategy, which obviously tracks, Bitcoin. So, hopefully they work hand in hand. And I might just pull the trigger the day I see, if Micro jumps 4% and Misty only jumps 2%, that's a good day for me to buy because you get a few more shares that way. Yeah. And really, in the long run, hey, I could do it tomorrow and still be okay. So it's just a little game plan, I guess. Mike Summers, LV50 says, Kraken now offers stocks as well as crypto. That I did not know. Thanks for that, Mike. Bought my first lot of Misty and received my first distribution. unfortunately never pulled back on the price, meaning he thought it would pull back, as a lot of us did. In other words, oh, and I'll buy more when it pulls back after the distribution date, you know. But oh well. It'll be volatile, I think, to some extent, especially depending on how micro does, and Bitcoin obviously does. Jack Bree, Misty owned to 23.52. I think that might have been the close, Jack. According to Bubba, prior pre-market, it's going to be opening up. Dennis L. Wowzer, where's Cooper? Oh, I'm sitting here right next to him. Yeah, Dennis is on the trip with Cooper, Dennis and Marcella. Excuse me. And geez, they were down to Kuala Lumpur, guys. They were at Phuket. They're now in Koh Samui, and they're having a ball with their families. So good on them. Dennis drove his truck. I think they piggybacked all the way down and probably all the way back. LV says, I'm guessing Misty is still a solid buy at 23 for the dividends. I would think so. I probably will be paying more than that, LV. So, yeah, I think it. And again, guys, when you look at a buy and hold strategy, which obviously I'll be doing in the tax-free savings account, hey, to me, it's even $1 a dividend is found money. So if you're buy and hold, then really what's 22 or 24 in the long run? Just buy and hold, and your dividends each month, there's, you know, yeah, it might be an extra month before the one guy's got all his money out, and an extra month less for the other guy because he bought in cheaper. So, you know, in the long scheme of things, it's not going to make a big difference. Now, if you're in at mid 30s or 40s, yeah, then it can, especially if it drops back, you know, to 20, and, you know, half, or at least your $20 you got out in the year, or say 30, you only really got 10 because 20 was your stock price. That's the way I'd tend to look at things, but we're not there. Blakester Drums, as far as I know, every Misty ABCD fund following MicroStrategy has done well. Yeah, so YieldMax is the company that offers these ETFs. They have oodles and oodles of stocks that they do this type of system on, with various payouts and various prices of the stocks. So again, do your research. Obviously, the big popular ones, apparently, and how do I know that? You go by volume that are traded. The big volumes are in, obviously, Misty, and Tesla is also big, TSLY. Coney, I believe, is big, CONY. These are very volatile stocks, guys, and obviously generate good premiums for the option traders. So, but of all of them, Misty, I think, has been the best long-term payment history, let's say. So with this, what Blakester's referring to, guys, they pay some each week. Not all, but, you know, so A might pay on the first week of the month, B maybe pays on the second week. All the stocks in A pay the first, all the stocks in B in the second, and so forth. So that's kind of, and for people that say, hey, I want a weekly income because my whatever bills are weekly, or I just like to know the money's in the account, they might just go a variety of those YieldMax funds to generate that. Mike D, hey, Brooke, thanks for all your valuable info and the tips on Misty and Tesla. I just picked up 224 shares of Tesla. Well, good on you, Mike. And you look to be quite a young fellow there, so you're getting in at a good age. And yeah, now diversification, yeah, it's based on a different stock with different price points and volatility. So, you know, Mike is hopefully into Misty as well, and he's got Tesla. So he's got two different payments coming in. They're both quite good, and he's what I would call somewhat diversified. So good on you. And with any of these guys, don't worry. If you can keep adding to your share count, slow and steady wins the race, and you'll do okay as you keep adding from your monthly. Obviously, take the money you need to live each month, as I told Coop, and then just simply reinvest the rest, and he knows enough to do that. Don Delana, gold and Bitcoin are becoming the anti-dollar and anti-USA treasuries. Yeah, people are dumping the treasuries, guys. Just look at Russia and China, Japan, Singapore, Middle East, all buying gold and Bitcoin and selling dollars and treasuries. It's interesting, guys. I read a report that there's more people now in the States that own Bitcoin than own gold. Wow, isn't that something? But yeah, they say that Bitcoin eventually will be neck and neck with gold for a store of value on the planet. So, which means that's about a 10x increase in the price of Bitcoin, guys, to do that. So interesting. We'll look forward to that date. But now Donnie's right. And the other point he's mentioning is that the American dollar seems to be losing somewhat its dominance as a world reserve currency. People maybe just aren't trusting it as much going forward. And what I mean by that is big countries who used to buy a lot of the U.S. treasuries, the U.S. government would issue these treasuries to, fund their operations, pay their bills, and foreign governments would buy them and sit on them because, hey, that's a safe investment. The U.S. treasuries, AAA, plus. So, but now they tend to be selling these treasuries. They're concerned about the debt in the U.S. They're concerned about the dollar dominance. And, the long and short is the U.S. might have to start paying a little higher interest on these treasuries, which hurts everything, in the country. Interest is, to me, a wasted expense. It's now the biggest or one of the biggest expenses on the balance sheet in the U.S. So definitely not treasuries for me as an investment, nor should it be for you. Phil T, going to be interesting to see what Tesla pays out this week. Yes, I'm following Tesla too, believe it or not, Phil. And I was toying with that. Jesus, should I put it all into Misty or go, maybe whatever, half and half something. But I thought, first time around, I think I'll stick with Misty. Keep it easy, keep it simple, and then I'll follow on this Tesla how it's doing, and that might be diversifying for me going forward. What's Duke says these days, Misty showing 2660. Oh boy, it's jumping quick flip time. Well, yeah, you got a point, Duke. I don't know. I wouldn't, once I buy, I'm just going to sit on it. So we'll see. But at 2660, yeah, some people will flip it, guys. They got in at 22, 23, got their dividend. Now it's the heck with it. I got the dividend and I'll make a couple bucks on my share. Heck with it. I'm out of here. But then what do you do the next month? Wait and see, I guess. Mike D, can't wait until I arrive in 2028. Here I come. But who's counting? Mike's counting, that's for sure. So good plan on you, Mike. And you guys that are looking at Thailand, you're going to love it here. You're absolutely going to love it. I was in the pool yesterday with a couple good friends. They had been in the Philippines for years. Took the leap, came here, totally satisfied. Oh, my God, things work here, Brooke. And I know I had experience in the Philippines for a year. I know what they meant. And then he says, and I got a whack of good buddies back in the Philippines. They just, until they're actually boots on the ground, experiencing it in real time, maybe it's just, pie in the sky dream for them. They don't, if people get here, they find out how nice it is, they'll stay. And, you guys in the Philippines, take a look, come over for a visit. Alpha Male, Panthers won 2-0. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. So the Leafs, well, now, they still got home ice advantage, so time will tell. We'll see if they can suck it up, boys. Jack Bree, having a hard time trying to get into Stake app to start buying, investing. Bloody ID won't accept license or passport details. 9 joys of being in Australia. Okay, well, Jack, listen, bear with it. I know people here, Aussies, are on Stake, several of them, and that works. I mean, they're able to buy their Misty on there. They've got it, and so I don't know the issue. Whether you're in Australia or here trying to set it up. Guys here have set it up here. So they didn't have to be in Australia to get it working, get it set up and buy. So just a matter of bearing with it and maybe someone that can help you. Call Stake, maybe there's a number to call to help support. David Pipe, what I found most interesting are the projections at the bottom of the page. And what's that referring to? David. I have to go back and see, but James Invest Answers puts a lot of projections. He's data driven and has good informative charts out there. But yeah, that's interesting. I like that data. Kind of data driven is always good, and you get your history from that. So anyways, that's the end of the comments today, guys. Crypto Monday. Hopefully it's been somewhat of a help to you. At least a forum to put ideas out there, vent if you need to, and hit that like button. It does help the channel. It does make Darlene smile, and we'll go about our day. Today's Monday in Thailand, so the markets will be opening tonight at 8:30, which is good. I always like when the markets are open. Cooper seems to be down there. I'm looking at him here. Yeah, so, and then Coop says, thanks, buddy. Okay, well, thank you, guys. Stay safe. Stay invested, buy and hodl, guys. He says he tried to post a link, David said. Jack Bree says, still in Oz for about a month, then Land of Smiles, good. LV says, appreciate everything, Brooke. Thank you. And then Phil T says, thanks for your help, Brooke. Take care, all. Yeah, you too, guys. And so next live stream will be, I believe, Saturday night coming. This Wednesday, Coop just gets back late in the day, so that won't be one on Wednesday, but definitely Saturday. You'll maybe see our smiling faces again. So without further ado, thanks again. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon. Have a good day. Stay safe.